Hi friends, this is Caitlin. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm making a really fun and simple garden scene card. It's not really a full scene, it's kind of like a little mini scene, and that's what makes it so simple and easy to make. So come along for the journey. It turns out so cute at the end, I promise. I grabbed 2 pattern papers to start with. I knew I wanted this fresh spring green that Lawn Fawn does so well. So the plaid or gingham here is from the new Bitsy Blooms paper pad from them. And then the other one we're using is from the Spiffy Speckles. I love that their colors usually coordinate. And I'm using the Scalloped frame die also from Lawn Fawn. And this one's fun because it cuts the die, or it cuts the frame and the rectangle inside separately. So you can pick if you want to patch them together like we're going to, or if you're going to swap out the center for a different color. It just gives you a lot of options. I did cut my stamp into 3 pieces. So I knew I wanted the I love you so veggie much, and so veggie much was one full stamp, but I wanted to add the veggie from die cuts. Big die cut letters that you can see up there. So I didn't have to cut. I could have tried to like mask and stamp, but it just felt like too much work. I have never had an issue cutting my stamps apart any other time as long as I use sharp scissors and I'm careful. So I cut that long phrase into 3, and that way we can use the so and much on either end of our veggies. Coloring in my images, these are from the Veggie Happy stamp set, also from Lawn Fawn. I'm sorry, it's been a week, but I really wanted to get this video out for you guys because it's so stinking cute. It makes me happy. So yeah, I stamped images from the Veggie Happy stamp set, which has my favorite mice in it. And I did the little dirt patch. I'm coloring up 2 carrots, a radish, a little tiny worm there, the bag of soil, and then 1 of those mice. We're also going to stamp and color a little sign here in a minute that I realized right before I die cut everything that I was going to need to help fill out my little scene. But this is why I think a little card like this is so fun. It's like you're creating the idea of a scene built around your sentiment without actually having to do the whole scene or background or ink blending or anything else if you're, in a time crunch or you don't feel like breaking out those supplies that day. By the way, the B90 family is the best blue blend for denim, hands down, every time. It's perfect. I gave my little mouse a cute little kind of woven straw gardening hat. And then just because everything else was so warm toned, I didn't want my mouse to be too cool. So I went with some warm grays for him as well. Trying to make sure I'm adding all of those shadows to the left and under his little hat. He gets a little dark nose. And then this is when I realized that I wanted to stamp that sign. So I just hand stamped it. It's super simple. I popped in the little lettering that says carrot or carrots. And we're going to use the same browns that I used for my little soil dirt patch for the wood grain on the sign, just keeping it really simple. But it's going to, like I said, it's going to help balance everything out when we add it. So I got all of the coordinating dies locked into place with some washi tape and ran that through my die cut machine. And then my favorite part about the dies for this is that it cuts the little wavy lines into that dirt patch so that you can tuck your veggies right into it, and it's going to look so cute. For the letters, I cut the veggie letters out just from plain white cardstock. I'm going to attach my inner rectangle piece down onto my card front first, because we're going to pop up our frame with teeny tiny little foam. So these are the thin foam squares from Simon Says Stamp. They're my favorite. And I like them because they're really easy to cut in half when you need skinny little pieces as well. So I cut them in half while they're still on the backing paper. And then I'm going to just pop them all around. I didn't worry about them being like all around. There's some gaps in between, but it's not popped up high enough for it to like bend or warp or be an issue in between. So once I got all of the backing paper removed, I lined that up around that base rectangle and then pop that down into place so we can start building our little world around our frame. I'm putting the die cut letters in first just to hold their place. That way we can go in with our sentiment stamps and get those added all the way around so we know exactly where they need to be without having to fully commit to have glued anything yet, just in case. So I'm going to pop this whole card front into my Misty, which is probably where I should have started this process to begin with, but that's okay. We're going to close the door, grab those stamps, and get them inked up. My sew came out just like a tiny bit crooked and a tiny bit further to the right than I would have liked, but it's fine. I think it's okay. I'm holding my mice there just in place too. He hasn't been glued down yet while I situate our actual little garden. So the 2 carrots are going to go on either side, and that little radish is going to go right in the middle, tucked into those little wavy bacon lines that the die cut for us. And I'm going to add some extra glue tape to the back of our garden before I press it down. Our little soil bag is going to go in the opposite corner, kind of hugging that little much word sentiment. And that's where our sign is going to go. So that extra little bit of height over on that right-hand side is going to help to balance out everything that's happening over on the left, which is where I'm going to pop up my little mouse so that he's working kind of above the frame while the garden is tucked behind the frame, which I thought was a fun way to kind of play and add some depth. Then I'm going to start laying out and figuring out my die cut sentiment. So I am going to come in with a T-square ruler, and 1 letter at a time, I'm going to work my way across. Normally I would say start in the middle, but because I'd already kind of laid these out multiple times at this point, I had an idea of where I wanted everything to end up. And also because I'm using a dot runner and not liquid glue, I have a couple minutes probably to come in and shift things around a little bit. So I wasn't super concerned about what would happen if I needed to make an adjustment. So I just worked left to right. If you're worried though, you can always start in the center and then work your way out in either direction. And that way you know things will be generally spaced evenly across your card. But I just went for it. Sometimes you just got to trust your instincts and just wing it, right? I added a little double-sided or tape runner to that worm and popped him up on the end of my die sentiment and on top of that little E. And I came in with way more white gel pen highlighter than I usually ever do, but I love it. I think it really brightens and lightens up the whole card, and it adds just like a little extra touch of whimsy that I really love. I don't do this almost ever, but I really love the like extra white gel pen on this one. So I hope that this encourages you if you like the idea of a scene card, but maybe are not fully ready to, color in a whole scene, to think of ways to build little mini scenes on your card with your sentiment as the main focus. Can take the pressure off and help make the whole process a little easier and quicker. So I hope you had fun. I love how this one turned out. I'm going to go work in my big garden now. So I'll see you guys back here soon. Until next time, happy crafting.